actually become friends with so far. I didn't see her. I thought—" Mrs. Bates scanned the auditorium again. "Yes, there she is up front. Oh, dear, I hope she's not ill." Indeed, Priscilla Knight was still sitting in one of the front pews, staring straight ahead and making no move to chat with any of the ladies clustering nearby. "I'll make sure she's all right," Elizabeth said, hurrying toward the front of the church. Priscilla had recently been widowed for the second time in her young life, and Elizabeth knew she carried a heavy burden. As she approached, she saw that her friend looked more distressed than ill. "Priscilla?" Priscilla looked up and smiled when she recognized Elizabeth, but the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Oh, Elizabeth, you startled me." "You did look like you were deep in thought. I didn't know whether to interrupt you or not." Elizabeth slid into the pew beside her. "Is everything all right?" "No," she said softly. "No, it's not." Which was not what people usually said unless something was very wrong indeed. "Can I help?" Elizabeth heard herself say, although she usually wasn't the least bit interested in getting involved with other people's problems. But she really did care about Priscilla, which was somewhat of a shock to realize. "I don't know if anyone can help." Before Elizabeth could respond to this terrifying statement, Daisy Hunsdale, the minister's wife, arrived. Her handsome face was a mask of concern. "Mrs. Knight, are you all right?" This time Priscilla raised her head and smiled the determined smile of a woman with no intention of giving in to despair. Then she rose to her feet. "I'm perfectly fine, Mrs. Hunsdale. I was just praying. For Endicott, you know," she added, naming her most recently deceased husband. "Of course," Mrs. Hunsdale said a little uncertainly, glancing at Elizabeth, who had risen as well. "I'm glad to see you in church today, Mrs. Knight. It's important to see one's friends when one is in mourning." If that were true, then why were widows, who were still in mourning, forbidden to socialize in all but the most restricted ways? But Elizabeth wasn't going to take this particular opportunity to challenge society's strictures. Instead, she took Priscilla's arm, sensing her friend didn't want the minister's wife inquiring into her problems. "Mrs. Bates wanted to say hello to you, Priscilla. Let me take you to her." They nodded their farewells to Mrs. Hunsdale, and Elizabeth escorted Priscilla down the aisle to where Mrs. Bates waited. "Could you—" Priscilla whispered. "Could I what?" "Could you come to see me?" Elizabeth could not mistake the desperation in her friend's eyes. "Of course." Daisy Hunsdale watched Priscilla Knight and her friend as they made their way out of the church. They were practically the last to leave, and she waited, knowing Peter would come to find her when he had shaken the hand of the last parishioner and closed the front doors. He came down the aisle slowly, his clerical robes flapping around his long legs. He was a handsome man, just as she'd been promised, and not particularly bright, which had sealed the deal. She had made a good bargain, and soon she would have everything she had always wanted. How nice it would have been to share her victory with a beautiful man like Peter. He had worked just as hard as she to earn it, after all. But the truth was, she could no longer stand the sight of him. "What do we know about that girl who's been coming with Hazel Bates?" she asked when he was close enough. Peter's perfect face creased slightly with the effort of thinking. "Her name is Miles. Elizabeth, I think. She's one of Mrs. Bates' suffragette friends." "She's gotten awfully friendly with Priscilla Knight." He glanced over his shoulder as if he could still see them. "I did notice they walked out together." "A miracle. Where did this Miles girl come from? Do we know anything about her?" "I don't think so. She just showed up with Mrs. Bates a few weeks ago." Gideon seemed